Alright guys, Stone here. Thank you for joining me on episode 2 of Stone Reviews. Today we're going to be doing Oxob versus Jade, which is Oxob's battle number 8. Now before we get started, I want to point out, yes, this is another RHG battle, but I want to make a very clear point that these will not, or do not intend to be, all RHG battles. It just so happens that the second one is an RHG battle. So first I'm going to go through a review and watch the animation, and at the end we're going to have an interview with Johannes Anderson, also known as Oxob, the creator of this animation, and we'll get some insight as to different details about the animations that we may or may not discuss during the playback. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so he's recovering in the hospital. His previous battle, apparently he got beat up pretty bad. Oh, look at all this. Okay, I like that. That's the first time I've seen a rib cage on a stick figure X-ray. That's pretty neat. Showing his recovery process, back to running. I like that, I like the intro. But finally you're back. Yep, let's do this. Straight to battle, alright. I'm fine. Okay. So they start off with some sparring. Dope effects. Okay, wait. Alright, so this is one thing that Oxob's been doing more recently in this last few animations that I really like. He adds this angled perspective to his, like, it's still a 2D background, but he adds a 3D element to it, and with this sidewall here, I really appreciate. It allows you to kind of get a sense of the space a little bit better when you see that, and it really kind of catches you off guard, because traditionally you would just see more of a wall here, you know, like the black that's right here would kind of just continue further. So it's kind of neat to see that these are multiple rooms, and I like the art he has in the background. I think he had some of his buddies and stuff too, the graffiti in the background that we see. So I'll continue to let it roll back, but I really wanted to point that out. That's actually something really neat, and I think a lot more people should incorporate that in their animations to really give them that extra sauce. You know what I'm saying? All right, here we go. The traditional Oxob punch. Oh, okay, he's showing his pain. He's not fully recovered yet. Ooh, spicy fire. Okay, let's stop it real quick. Let's actually take it back a little bit. The other thing I want to point out is during any kind of animated combat, the most difficult, or I should say the vastly more difficult combat to do is kind of grapples, hooks, and wrestling type moves. And the reason for that is because, one, you have to choreograph very intricately, or a lot more intricately, the two stick figures together. Rather than, you know, let's say if you deliver a punch, right? I can animate a punch knowing that if I have my opponent on the other side, it doesn't matter too much how I have them react. Like, I can have them react subtly if I know that I'm going to follow it up with another auto, or another, like, jab or something like that. Or I can then send them back further if I know that I'm going to have my hero run at them shortly thereafter that. But when you're doing a wrestling type move, generally you're choreographing, you know, okay, if I'm pulling a leg, you only want to pull the leg or something so far before it starts to look awkward on the other stick figure. So a lot of times, instead of being able to go forward like 10 or 20 frames with one character, or even further than that, you have to go like 2 or 3 frames, 2 or 3 frames, 2 or 3 frames, 2 or 3 frames, back and forth to kind of keep it the timing appropriate. Obviously, you can do the in-between method where you have your major keyframes set out, and then you just keep adding more and more keyframes in between there to elongate that process, which is a popular way to do it. However, you kind of lose that magical smooth flavor when you do it like that, because when you're animating straightforward, you have a very intimate idea of how it's going to play out in your mind when you're animating straightforward like that. It's very easy to get a feel for it. But when you're skipping ahead, going back, skipping ahead, going back, skipping ahead, going back, even though the onion skin might look right, you kind of lose that inner X Factor sense of like, okay, I know when I play this back, it's going to look clean. So I really wanted to point out for this part right here. Okay, That's really good. It's not easy to pull off. The fact that he was able to choreograph this, and you know, she's all Jade showing her pain as he's kind of pulling on a leg like that, and then she turns it into a recovery turnaround flip. I wanted to point that out because I challenge you guys out there. Do it yourself. Do some kind of wrestling tie-up type moves, and incorporate that into your battles, because it's a very nice thing to see, and it's not always the easiest thing to pull off. So we'll play it back. I like the flame. I like the angle changes too. Ooh! Spicy explosion. I like that. Nice shield. Again with the 3D element. Okay. I know I'm stopping a lot right here, but again with the 3D element here. I'm going to keep playing this back a couple times. Boom! It's just so nice. Especially having the actual hole in the wall, and you can see both sides of the hole in the wall as it goes through. Very, very, very nice. I like that a lot. Oh, and going back into the other room, that's really, really excellent. Good slow-mo here. Is anyone paying attention to Jade's hair, by the way? I know I'm coming up a little bit here. Covering up a little bit here. Good angle changes. Oh, continuing to show his pain. His shield. I really like Jade's weapon here, too. Oh, and the pierce. Okay. Wow. Whoa, okay, so he busted his hands. Alright. Well, you win. Seems like I'm done fighting. Now, I don't know if I would agree with this part here, storyline wise, with Oxob giving up so quickly. Nemesis would help repair. The same reason I wanted to fight you. I wanted to see if you recovered from your last battle. So, I guess Jade wins at this point. Nemesis wants your help for a special assignment. Okay. Now, what they mean by this is, Nemesis is Jade's clan. RHG stands for Rock Hard Gladiator. Jade is a Rock Hard Gladiator, and you can have your gladiator be part of a clan. Nemesis is a popular clan you may or may not know of, and apparently they're recruiting Oxob here in this storyline. That's what I love about the Rock Hard Gladiator universe, is that everything ties together and can be tied together in multiple different ways. So maybe this might be something I touch upon in the interview, whether or not Camilla, who's I believe is Jade's author here, he actually talked to Oxob about something for Nemesis during the process of this, so we'll get to the kind of the bottom of that, but let's see. Although I can see that you're still suffering from your injuries. So if you're down for helping us out, we'll get your hands and your legs fixed. Oh, okay. Oh boy! Oh boy! Alright, so we got a cliffhanger there. Oh nice! I like how we did the credits here. Usually credits are pretty boring and lame. Yep, I was right about that. Sunday fix. Now I'm almost wondering if this isn't 24 FPS. Just by looking at these tweens, I feel like this might be 20. It might be 20. We'll see. I feel like it's still gonna be 24 FPS, but it really, really might be 20. Hey! Hey! There I am. Alright guys, so now that we went through and reviewed it, I'm going to go back actually and a few key points I wanted to kind of emphasize once again. I want to start doing these for my reviews. I want to go back and emphasize kind of like, not necessarily my favorite parts, well, my favorite parts slash I think key elements that if I'm analyzing this from a technical standpoint and something you want to learn or take from this animation-wise, one, his use of the 3D plane, this right here. That's really, really dynamic and really great to use in your animations. If you can pepper that into your background concepts, I highly suggest you do it. Really, it'll help you give a good sense of your space for yourself and for the viewer. Next, we had, I believe, the angle changes again were great. Explosion, great. Jade's hair effects were great. The grapple. I really, really want to encourage people to go out there and investigate wrestling moves, grapples, you know, different types of things in the wrestling realm of things, because one, it tests you as an animator, and two, it's a really great dynamic to add to your fights rather than just all hand-on-hand combat and things like that of sort. Three, obviously the effects here are great. I love the effects here. Good amount of filtering, not too much. You know, filters are great, don't get me wrong, but don't overdo them, you know? You don't want to do too much filtering. This is a good amount of filtering. And if I had to have a third point here, good slow-mo. Again, slow-mos, believe it or not, the slow-mos, me personally, aren't always the easiest thing to pull off, to do them right. If I were to add anything to this, I would add maybe 2 or 3 graphics behind the actual characters of like alpha versions of them to kind of give it that slow-mo effect that you would see in like the Matrix type thing. That's common old method for showing slow-mo, but either way, this worked out great. The other thing that I like in this animation as a whole, it wasn't just a pure animation battle. You know, they had a storyline wrapped in it. He started with kind of leaning in from his previous battle, giving you a little bit of backstory there before the battle, and then backstory or more story after the battle that kind of leads you into the next one. So that's kind of really wraps everything together really well. So I think from there, those are probably my main points if I'm looking at this as a technical standpoint, or if you're an animator looking at it from something that you want to take from it, be able to learn from it, and maybe incorporate those concepts into your next animation or your next tests. Those would be my key points. And for now, I think we'll go ahead and move into the interview with Johannes Anderson, also known as Oxob. All right, Oxob, thank you so much for joining us today on the second episode on your or second Stone review on your animation Oxob versus Jade.
I'm glad to be on.
All right, man. So I got a couple questions here for you. First of all, what was your feelings about this animation battle? What I mean by that is I see that you incorporated more storyline than usual, than your previous battles and animations. And you speak a little bit more in detail as to why this is?
Well, I've had a lot of complaints in the past, like my animations are just normal fights and not really having anything going around in the background of it. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd make something more that can connect to the viewer in more emotional way, I guess.
Right. One thing oh, go
ahead. It's also the thing that I was planning on making this as like a prequel to me helping out with the Nemesis collab. So that was the plan with like the ending of this animation.
Oh, okay. You know, I was going to touch upon you adding the storyline element, because I feel like there's two types of viewers that fit into the largest. If you want to draw like a Venn diagram, the two largest sides of viewers would be, one side would be the people who really just like that, enjoy just simply the 2D action fighting aspect with no storyline needed, required, blah, blah, blah. They're there for just the pure eye candy. I myself, I feel like I tend to lean into that side a lot more personally. And then you have this other group of people that it's almost like the technical aspects of it are kind of they really just want a really solid story. So I mean, I could agree that adding the story element definitely helps, because it kind of blends both of those viewer bases together, and so you can get both of them together. Since you already have the fighting and technical aspect, adding that kind of like extra bit of storyline in there really, I think, pulls in a lot more viewers. So that was another thing where I kind of want to bring a question up. But so number 2, were there any technical challenges in this animation that you ran into that you usually don't have or worry about, or was it pretty much smooth sailing?
Whenever I do that 3D looking background, I always run into that issue. Like there's so much more. The thing is, I don't know scripting, so I have to tween everything manually. So that is really time consuming. And also you saw the part where he breaks through the wall.
Yeah.
I had that planned since the beginning, but when I reached that point, I was like, how am I going to do this? Because the thing is, it's a symbol, and I had to break that symbol and still keep it in the same place without anything changing. So that was a challenge for me.
Yeah, I actually went through and I pointed it out in the beginning, where you first see when the camera just pans over just enough to where you see the wall show up. And then I mentioned it again when you busted through the wall there, because I knew from a technical aspect, I was like, 1, that was going to be tricky because I knew that you were going to run into this, and 2, it really looks good because it adds a really big dynamic. So I'm glad you took the effort and did that, because it was really nice.
I really try to extend my boundaries for each animation.
Right, and it shows too. I mean, because I think you can really generally see a good progression from your battles as you move forward.
Yeah, that's good.
So 3, roughly how long did this animation take you?
I actually have no idea when I started this because I did a lot of projects in between.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like my go back to project whenever I had free time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think I started it like last spring sometime, and I finished it like now on New Year's. So, yeah, that's how long it took. I don't know how many animation hours it took.
Right.
A lot.
That was another thing I want to start doing is I want to actually start keeping a log. Like I saw Alan Becker kept a log of how much time he spent on his animation. I think that's really interesting to know, especially if you're going to do client jobs, things like that. You can give a more accurate estimate. Okay, well if this took me this long, then I have a good idea of how long what they're looking for. But anyways, 4. Good Lord. How long did that explosion take you? And did you have to redo it at all? Like, because I can't tell you how many times I've made an explosion and spent like 2 hours on it, and then I'm like, this is just crap. This is not going to work at all. So, yeah.
If you count, like, I first had to look at different explosions to make sure that I could make something new that I hadn't done before. And as you can see, it's like first one explosion, and then a larger one comes out of it.
Yeah.
So,
and then you have like 2 or 3 layers of shading on top of that too.
Yeah,
which exactly. I know that makes it literally 2 or 3 times exponentially more difficult and time consuming.
Yeah, although I think it didn't take as long as the explosion I did in Breaking Phase Zero, because that one I think it took me 8 hours, while this one maybe it took me 5 hours or something like that. Oh my
god! See, that's really that's how I know we as animators are insane, because people don't do that kind of stuff. They don't spend like an entire day on what actually ends up being, a second or 2 seconds, 3 seconds tops of anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because it just plays. I mean, one thing that used to always bother me when I was younger is, and even still, like I was showing my parents or my friends or something in animation, and they cough or something, and I would get so instantly pissed off because I'm like, how dare you cough? Like, you blinked, you looked away, and when you looked away, that was like 2 weeks of animation. You don't even know,
Exactly. Like it's so much effort that you miss out on.
How could you not look then? I restart the whole thing every time. Like if Lexi, come look at this. If she looks away for like more than 3 seconds, I start the whole thing over and she's like, oh! But anyways, next question. When animating, do you tend to storyboard everything out first, or do you like to kind of just animate straightforward, or do you kind of do a blend of both?
There were a few angles, and for those I do storyboard because otherwise I just suck at doing angles. Mm-hmm. But usually when I do regular 2D animation, I just go with the flow.
Right.
But I always have like a few basic ideas that I know is going to happen in the animation. And I plan out some things. Like I just make a bunch of filling choreography.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, well, now this particular thing is going to happen. And I start planning out for that.
Okay. 6. Did you talk with Camilla or approach Camilla, or did she approach you during the process of this for that storyline aspect of things?
The thing was, she had asked me for an RG battle way back. Mm-hmm. So I was finally accepting, sort of. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, I can start the battle now. And she was like, okay, go ahead. And well, she hasn't started hers yet.
No, but I mean, the storyline aspect meeting with the Nemesis Incorporation, was she like, hey, I kind of want you guys to help. I want you to help out in this Nemesis thing. Can you incorporate it into your battle? Or did you kind of
that was I saw she posted, what was it? The resound of her last RG battle. Mm. And then I asked her, because she mentioned that they might not finish the collab, and she asked for advice from the her subscribers what she was going to do with it. So then I reached out to her and asked maybe I could help them finish it. So she accepted that, and I said I could implement that in my battles to make it like a prequel to what's about to come.
I really like that. I like when that was when I created the RHG system. That was my overall goal, was to everyone create their own little circle universes and kind of tie them together. Which is it's funny when I created this, like, you know how like the DC and Marvel worlds and all this other stuff in Hollywood now, you're seeing them blend, and even in like regular television with like the Flash and the Arrow, like they blend their storylines together and have them meet. Obviously that concept isn't a new idea, but back then this is what I kind of wanted to see. I wanted to see these unique characters reacting and kind of like co-mingling in their different sub-universes and everything. So that's why I wanted to touch upon this specifically, because I think that's really, really interesting. So number 7. Go ahead.
And also I did it like this because I wanted a reason to give Oxob an upgrade. Because I had that plan even since the battle before when he got injured. I actually planned to do something with his legs, but I first wanted to show the struggle of him trying to fight with injured legs.
Right, and I like that you actually continue to subtly touch upon that, like subtly and not so subtly in different aspects of the animation. Yeah. But I like that you did, like, you kept that as a constant thing throughout. It wasn't just like, ow, my leg, and then he was fine, you know?
And that was also a challenge. That was also a challenge with the animation to make him look crippled. Right.
Like, still have it come off interesting and like he's strong and powerful, and then at the same time do show that weakness, because it can be sometimes it can be too much contrast. Because like, let's say he pulls off some badass combo, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, my leg. You're like, so I get how you can. It's kind of hard to kind of balance that. You know, you want him to show up and have a decent animation of it at the same time. You don't want to see it unrealistic. But okay, so number 7, who do you think you'll be battling next, or are you already battling someone?
I'm not battling someone right now, and I'm not sure when I'm gonna start battling someone else, because I have some other projects to do, including this joint that I've been streaming.
Oh, right on.
But I have been challenged by drifts, so that would be a cool battle.
Yes, it would be, and I think you'd like using a scythe. I think you'd enjoy using a scythe. It's like a hammer, which you know, with Hammer Todd, obviously you loved animating the hammer. So it'll be like using a hammer. Very similar mechanics, obviously, but it's lighter and, you know, sword aspects to it, but still. But anyways, that's all the questions I have for you today. Oxob, thank you so much for joining us, and maybe we'll see you again for another story review on your next one.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Sounds cool.
See ya.
See ya.